The January transfer window is closed, and we have seen a ton of players from Concacaf join new clubs. Rather than make a dedicated video about every single move, I've created a tier list for you guys. A hype tier list, to be specific, in which I will assign a hype grade to all the transfers that happened. You guys can see the tier list here, right? This is pretty standard. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I think we've got 20 players to get through, so let's get started. But before I do, if you guys like videos about CONCACAF, make sure you hit subscribe. Also, if you would like to see me make a similar video, but for other federations, let me know down below in the comments. If it gets a lot of upvotes, a lot of interactions, I might just be forced, honor bound even, to go ahead and make those vids. Of course, drop a like on the video, and if there's anything I say that you disagree with, let me know why down below in the comments. The first player we're going to talk about is Luis Palma from Honduras, who transferred to Olympiacos from Celtic on a loan, and I'm going B tier. I think it's an exciting move for Honduran fans because Olympiacos is a big club, right? I like Olympiacos. I love the Greek league because I used to live in Greece, and I've seen many Olympiacos games in the Piraeus Stadium in person, so it's kind of cool to just see him go there. And I think it's going to be a really good challenge for Luis Palma, right? Like, he kind of fell out of favor at Celtic. Anybody thinking he's going to walk into Olympiacos and be their best player is tripping, right? This is a very stacked squad. They always have very strong both Greek local players and foreign internationals in the squad. I'm not sure how many starts he's going to get, at least in the beginning. I know he did have a cameo in his first appearance very recently, but overall, I think it's a pretty exciting move. I think if he had gone to like a, lower tier Belgian side, or maybe like a Thessaloniki FC or something in the Greek league, maybe I would have put it as C tier, but you're going to a very good team that's probably going to win trophies, and I think it's going to be a great showcase, potentially, for the Honduran national team. Again, remember guys, this is hype. This is not Jack's prediction of what's going to happen. This is just how do I personally feel about these moves. Next up, we have Levi Garcia, who transferred to Spartak Moscow. And not only did he transfer to Spartak Moscow, y'all, he moved for $20 million from AEK Athens, ironically. So we're staying in Greece, kind of. Well, we're leaving Greece for this particular move. I'm going to go B because, dude, the Russian Premier League, I'm not saying they're back, but they're kind of making some beast mode transfers recently. Luis Enrique going to Zenit St. Petersburg, and now Spartak dropping 20 M's for Trinidad and Tobago player Levi Garcia, who tore it up in Greece every single season. I think it's exciting. Like, why would you not be hype about this move? I think the biggest reason is that, obviously, for the war going on, right? That little thing. Spartak cannot compete in European competition. But other than that, I think this is a great move, especially for Levi Garcia. I think it's a natural step up in terms of probably overall league. I think the Greek league probably has 4 good teams. The Russian Prem probably has 6 or 7. So in that sense, for the money, for the player, where he's from, where he's going, I think it's pretty sick. I think it's borderline an A tier. I'll just say it like that. Now, speaking of A tiers, we have Cesar, aka Chino Huerta, to Anderlecht. This is an automatic A. It's an automatic A because, number one, my guy's already got a goal and assist in his first 3 appearances for the Belgian club. Number 2, it's Anderlecht. So this is a big-time European destination. I mean, I don't know why people are so disrespectful towards the Belgian league sometimes, like it's just some trash institution. There are good teams here, and Anderlecht is a very good team. It was a, $2 or $3 million purchase. Clearly, Chino was being brought in to play, as we can see, from the minutes he's gotten already, and he's already had the impact. How is this not an A? Like, for me, it's a cemented A. I'm not going to go S tier because S tier would be like, I don't know, Atletico Madrid or something. Like, that would be insane. Again, hype. Not is this the best fit. Not is the player destined for greatness. Just how hype is the move. I think Chino, for the money to Anderlecht, already balling out, is a hype 100%. Next up, we have our first Canadian here, Tajon Buchanan, who left Inter Milan to Villarreal on a loan. I'm going to go B on the hype meter. I think it's a very similar move to Luis Palma to Olympiacos. In fact, I think you could copy and paste what I said almost entirely. For Tajon Buchanan, no offense to Canadians watching, Villarreal is probably the best club that he could play for right now. and this is going to be an extreme challenge. This is a team that is fighting tooth and nail against Athletic Club for a Champions League spot in La Liga, right? And Buchanan is being brought in because Ilias Akomach had an ACL tear. He's out for the season, and Yeremy Pino is not reliable due to his durability. He's a good player, but he inevitably gets hurt. So right now, Buchanan is still number 2, but if something happens to Yeremy Pino, they don't have another option really out wide unless they want to play Nicolas Pepe at the right wing. So Buchanan is being brought in as an important role player. And so I do think he will get minutes. Will he get starts? I'm not sure. But regardless, you have a Canadian now at Mallorca who starts every week in Kyle Larin, and now you have Tejon Buchanan, who will likely be a rotation guy, fringe starter depending on the opponent in the game. I think it's a pretty hype move. I think it's going to be difficult, but I feel hype about it, so I'm going B tier. Next up, we have Daniel Maldonado, the Honduran national team captain, who made a permanent move now to his Romanian club side. I think he was there already on a loan, then he returned to Olympia, and now he's back in Romania. Y'all can cry all you want. I'm going B, bro. I think this is a pretty hype transfer. I mean, some guys will say, Jack, it's the Romanian league. Bro, piss off, man. Piss off. Honduran center back being the starter at a Romanian club. Like, if you don't think this is hype, you're just a hater. That's just it. I can't go A because of the league. Right, I think if he was being sold to even a Danish league side, that's probably the lowest that Jack could go and anoint an A tier. It's still pretty hype, and I still think it's cool. And anytime we see Honduran players abroad in Europe, it's a dub. So I'm going B tier. Nothing else to say. Alex Badia to Pumas. This is also a loan move, and I made a full video about this transfer on the channel. You can find it now. Actually, most of these Mexican transfers I have a full video about. Alex Badia to Pumas. I'm going to go C tier on the hype because it's not a very hype move, right? This is a guy who was the third choice for Bilbao and got some minutes this season. And now he's going to Pumas in Liga MX. And I'm sorry, but anytime you return to Liga MX, it is very difficult for me to go higher than a C on the hype tier. Like maybe if you're a 17-year-old and you got signed by America, maybe I could go B tier. Like maybe, or Pachuca more likely because you're probably going to get minutes under Almada. But for Padilla, he will get minutes. That's the most important thing. So I'm not going to go D tier because he needs playing time. I'm excited to see him play. And I think Pumas are, going pretty heavy in the recruitment this window. And I like seeing Alex Padilla as an option there. Now, there is a loan to buy that kind of scares me. That also prevents me from going B tier. But I will say C overall. Santi Jimenez to AC Milan. Let's skip the foreplay, guys. Let's just go straight to S tier. It's one of the biggest transfers in Concacaf recently, outside of probably Pulisic also going to AC Milan, right? So I don't know what else needs to be said about this move. It's a sizable investment, 35 million plus bonus incentives. It will likely be north of 45 million when it's all said and done. And he's already got 2 goal involvements in his first 2 games, one in Serie A and one in the Cup. So great start to life for Santi Jimenez, very similar to Chino Huerta at Anderlecht. It's amazing, man. Like at his age, his career progression, the club that he's landed at. Some people were talking down on AC Milan like you're a complete fool. Like if you don't think Serie A is a beast mode league, you're just a fool. There's no other way to say it. And in fact, it's improving as a league while others remain stagnant, if not declining. So if you didn't like Santi to AC Milan, at least on the hype meter, if you didn't go S tier, you're a fraud, in my opinion. Now, gosh, this one pains me. Coco Carrasquilla to Pumas. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going to go D. I'm going to go D on the hype meter, and this is coming from a guy who actually likes Pumas. I actually have a soft spot for Pumas as a team. I love how they are seemingly the only reasonable club in Mexico when it comes to selling talent. I respect them a lot. This is not a reflection of my sentiment towards Pumas as a team. I would gladly buy a jersey. They just don't sell them here in Buenos Aires. But for the Panama captain and a guy who won the Concacaf Player of the Year last year, who has taken Panama to a Gold Cup final, who has taken Panama to multiple Nations League semifinals and the knockout round of the Copa America, albeit he got a red card. This is a disappointment, and it's a buzzkill, and it's a blue balling. quite frankly. Excuse my crudeness. That's what it is. I don't like this move because I think Coco deserves more. It has nothing to do with Pumas. I think he's better than Liga MX. I think he is La Liga level. He has been linked to La Liga clubs for 2 to 3 seasons, maybe a German club as well at some point. And it feels like an unjust end. So I'm going D because I have very high expectations for him. And yeah, it really pains me, even though he's clearly going to be the heart and soul of this team going forward. Chucky Lozano to San Diego FC. Is it San Diego FC? If that's what, Jesus, my MLS ball knowledge. I'm also going D. Chucky's time with the national team, is it over? I'm not quite comfortable to say it's over. That's the reason I put him on this list. But it's not a hype move, right? Leaving PSV, especially after the first half of the season that he was having, and his age, you think there were more years in the tank in Europe. And you guys let me know in the comments, would you have rather had Chucky return to North America, be it Liga MX or MLS, or stay in the Eredivisie, or go to a Genk or some club of that level, or a lower tier La Liga side? Like, I would have rather him stayed at a worse European club. Like, if he had gone to Braga or something, I would have been like, okay, that's pretty cool. I think I still would have put it as maybe a C tier. But I'm going to go D because you're joining an expansion team in MLS. For me, there's just not excitement there. Next up, Omar Campos to Cruz Azul. I'm also going D tier for this one. Omar Campos, still 22 years old, and I realized that he probably needed to leave LAFC. I read reports that him and Steve Cherundolo did not get along. We saw his minutes kind of vanish near the second half of the season. He needed to go, but again, similar to Coco Carrasquilla, he was linked to Anderlecht and other clubs abroad, and now he's going to Cruz Azul, and they bought him for, $4 million? It just seems like the window is closing. The door is slowly being bolted shut for Omar Campos to reach his potential, and that's why I'm going D tier. Chiquete Orozco also joining Cruz Azul. I mean, I'm also going to go D. There's no difference, in my opinion, between him being at Chivas and him being at Cruz Azul. And this is a guy that is challenging Cesar Montes as a starting CB in the Selección. And he's made a lateral move. Not a vertical move. He's made a lateral move. So it's a D as well. And I'm not really sure if Cruz Azul are going to let him go. I mean, I heard reports that there's some sort of maybe a release clause or his contract isn't that long. And then, after this contract, he's going to go. I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah, I'm going to go D tier on that, and I do apologize. Okay, now we have Heriberto Urado. I'm reading some disturbing stats here. He did go to Cercle Brugge. I'm going to go C tier on the hype. And the only reason I'm not going D is because it's a European club. Now, I know you guys are thinking, oh my God, Jack, massive hater. Why are you being like this? It's not that I'm a hater. It's that I'm just not that excited about him as a player yet. So therefore, I'm not that hyped that he's going to Europe. Like, I think he's promising. He's 20 years old, but he's got less than 10 GA in 4 years in Liga MX. And I was looking at the options that Brugge have at the left wing position, guys like Somers, Alan Minda from Ecuador. I mean, he's probably the third option. It's a very, very low buy at $2 million. Clearly rotation. Clearly they won't mind just tossing him aside if he doesn't work out. And this team seems to play a two-man game up top a lot of the times anyways, without any proper winger. So I'm not that hype because I don't really back him to succeed here. And I know that sounds harsh, but I don't. I'm not going to bet money that he flops, but I'm certainly not betting money that he succeeds. So even though the fact he's going to Europe is exciting, this is a big climb. This is a super, super big climb. I've seen this movie too many times before, Mexican players. I'm going C tier. Next up, we have Jack McGlynn to the Houston Dynamo. And I'm also going to go D tier here. So he is the Coco Carrasquilla replacement. I think that's exciting. He's going to play. Still 21 years old. I like Jack McGlynn. I've been watching this guy for a while. A lot of the time in the Concacaf Champions Cup, the North American Champions League. And I've been impressed. And I'm seeing a couple other Americans make the move over to Europe. I think that he could do it. I really do think he's European quality. I don't know what the deal is with the Dynamo. It's probably a 4-year deal, and I'm sure they would sell him if they received a good offer. But this is also the same club that was wanting, what, $10 million for Concacaf. By the way, I'm from Houston. This is my local team, so I can drag these guys as much as I want. It's not a good selling club. It's not a good selling club. They seem to really value their players, which is not a bad thing necessarily, but it is when you're trying to get to Europe. He does have the American passport, which makes it a different situation in Concacaf. It's no doubt going to be a little easier to send an American abroad than a Panamanian. But I think Jack McGlynn's European quality, so I'm going D here. I'm really not too excited about it. Luca de la Torre to San Diego. I'm going to also go D here as well. Again, on the hype meter, I'm not saying it's a terrible move. I'm not saying he's not going to be good at San Diego. I think he's going to be clearly their best midfielder, or maybe second best midfielder. But it's kind of a weird turn of events for De La Torre, who barely played at all for Celta this season because of tendinitis. Like, at first he sprained his ankle, then it was tendinitis, then he barely played like 3 games the entire season, maybe 1 start for Celta. And this is a massive downgrade. Like, I don't care what any MLS simp wants to say. This is a downgrade. So I'm going D. Like, this is a guy who was a 5th or 6th option in the U.S. men's national team midfield pool. And what happens now? I think he drops. I think he drops to 7, clinging to life. I mean, there's no guarantee he's included in any call-up. You know, let's not even talk about the injuries. I'm talking about the destination. I'm not sure how Pochettino's going to rate MLS players either. So, I don't know. For me, it just... I don't get it. I don't really get it. Well, I should be more fair. It's a loan move. So I think the theory was, let's get De La Torre in here, send him back home. I don't know, maybe better medical care. Regardless, that doesn't interest me. I'm going D tier. Shamar Nicholson from Jamaica to Tijuana. Yo, I'm going B tier. This is pretty hype. He is leaving Russia, where he was ironically benched by fellow CONCACAF member Manfred Ugalde, who might be one of the best players in Russia right now. That's a separate video. But I do think going to Tijuana is cool. One, because Juan Carlos Osorio is the manager, and I rate him highly. So I think he's going to have a good, director behind him. I think that Tijuana's current roster has 0 goals. I was actually looking at this specifically. I don't think anybody on their team... not a single player on Tijuana last season had more than 6 goals. That's pretty ass cheeks. So they need somebody, and Shamar Nicholson is a very feasible option. He's a great backup for Jamaica. I think he'll do well at Tijuana. I see him hitting 10 goals, something like that. Nothing crazy. I don't think he's going to be like Solomon Rondon or anything like that, but I'm expecting 8 to 10 goals from this guy. I think it's a good move. Next up, Ismael Kone to Stade Reims on a loan. I'm also going to go B tier. And I was thinking about maybe a C tier here, but the fact of the matter is Kone had to leave because Roberto De Zerbi, for whatever reason, said he ain't good enough, he's not in my plans. So when a coach comes out with that strong of a statement, you have to leave. And he left. And he could have done what Luca de la Torre did. And he could have gone back to MLS. Or not back to MLS, but he could have gone to North America. Or he could have seriously downgraded clubs and gone to like Serie B or something. The guy pretty much made a lateral move inside Liga, and he already got a cameo in his first game. And Ross made some insane January signings. Hyogo Furuhashi coming in from Japan. Musa Altamari was signed, the Jordan winger who I'm super bullish on, one of the best in Asia. And now Ismael Kone. Like, this seems like a massive statement of intent from Rennes, I'm probably butchering it, this January transfer window. I like that Ismael Kone is part of that. I think it's great. Now, I'm not going to go A because it's a loan. He needs to be bought by another club because obviously Marseille is not going to work out. But I still think B is fair. Next up, we have Stefano Carrillo being signed by Feyenoord. I'm going to go B on the hype. I'm flirting between A and B. If you want to go A, that's totally fine. It's just going to be difficult for him. He's a very good player, especially for the Mexican youth teams. He's insane. He's been great. I think he won MVP of the Concacaf U20. I think he did, or either top goal scorer, MVP, or both. I'm not sure if they're separate awards. it is very hype going to Feyenoord. It is extremely promising and gives me a lot of happiness knowing that as soon as a Mexican is sold, another Mexican is brought in at the same position. You know what? I actually am going to upgrade it to A. I don't know what I'm talking about here. I think it's sick. I really do. I think Carrillo is way further behind in his development than Santi. I think Santi was also, 2 years older? Was he 20 when he was signed by Feyenoord? Carrillo's maybe 18, 19? Is he 17? Anyways, he's a teenager. I'm going to go A because I'm biased. But really, it's probably a B, similar to the Urado, what would I say, hesitancies that I have. That's probably the word that I'm looking for. But to be in the Dutch league at a young age should be the aspiration of every single Mexican. We should really stop trying to get Mexican players to go from Liga MX to La Liga or to the Premier League because the technical level is not high enough and they will fail every single time. So this is a great move on theory. In fact, any player from Concacaf should be going to the Eredivisie. I think the Eredivisie and Bundesliga, best development in the world. Maybe La Liga as well, but we just don't see a lot of young guys go there and then ball out. But when we do, it's somebody like Lee Gang-in from South Korea, borderline world class. It's somebody like Takefusa Kubo, Japan, carrying Sociedad on his back right now. So yeah, I just think it's a bit harder of a hurdle to clear than the Dutch league or the Belgian league or the Bundesliga. I think those are very, very strong developmental leagues. And last, we have Caleb Wiley to Watford. This is also a loan. He was at Strasbourg for the first half of the season. His minutes kind of trailed off near the end. I don't really know how to feel about this one because I don't know Watford. What I do know is I'm concerned Caleb Wiley was signed by Chelsea because I don't like when anybody's signed by Chelsea because they will replace you as soon as they can. They will sign you and forget you even existed. So, second loan in a year, I'm going to go D tier. And that's mainly because I don't know the situation of Watford. I don't know what the need is for this guy. I don't know how many minutes he's going to get. I guess it couldn't. Actually, he was getting decent time at Strasbourg, so there's a chance this is a worse move than the former. Which, oh my God, now that I'm thinking about it out loud, was Caleb Wiley's loan rescinded because Strasbourg were replacing him with Valentin Barco, who they also signed on a loan from Sevilla? I don't know if I just unearthed something there, but if so, that's an L move for Caleb Wiley. So I'm pretty confident on the D hype meter because who's hype about this? Who is hype about this? Looking at all these moves, if we look at the C and D tier, what is the move that you guys are the most hype about that I put that low? Maybe Coco Carrasquilla. People will think a D is harsh. But other than that, man, I think it's fair. I really think it's fair. I actually love how this ranking came out. S tier, Santi being the only one I think that's fair. A tiers. Look, the top 3 happen to be Mexican players. And I know some of the comments will be like, well, it's because you're biased as hell. Let me tell you, friend, this is probably the one time in the last 8 years where during any particular window, the best 3 signings were from Mexicans. Usually we're down in the effing mud. Usually we're down with Chucky, Campos, and Chiquete in the D tier. All right, so let me have this. Let me relish in this moment because it may never happen again. And that's the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little hype tier list for the January transfer window from CONCACAF. Like I said, if you want to see this from another federation, let me know down below in the comments. If I get a lot of people liking that, I will go ahead and make one. If you like videos about CONCACAF, another reminder to hit subscribe because we are going to be doing a comprehensive roll-up to the Nations League, which is just a month away. So don't miss that. Check us out on social media. Links in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next one.